Hello crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com and today I'm here sharing some cards made with the Cat Scrappiness Crafters Essentials 2 die set. I did show these cards when I did the introduction video for the die set, but I wanted to share the tutorials that I had filmed. I started with the background die with the chevrons because I knew that was my favorite, and I knew as soon as I saw the set that I wanted to do a rainbow chevron pattern down the side. So I cut it out of some thick cardstock and I set aside all the little chevron pieces. There are going to be 12 of them. And when I applied my adhesive to attach the panel, I made sure to apply adhesive behind those openings. So that way, when I try to fit in all my little rainbow pieces, there will already be adhesive there and I won't have to fuss with glue or anything. There are 12 little chevron pieces, and if you go with 6 rainbow colors, so instead of doing all 7, you skip the indigo and just go right to purple, you would get 2 of each. So I picked out a red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple marker, and I'm just going to really quickly color those. Nothing fancy, of course, about the coloring. And I'm using my Copic markers because that's what I have and that's what's on my desk, but of course anything will do. You could also use inks to get some color in there. And then I will be able to fit all of those pieces in and create my rainbow. A couple of tips. I first thought maybe I could just color on top with them already put inside of the background die, but then I found that I was getting marker on my large white panel, so I wasn't only getting it on the chevron piece, so I thought it was important to color them outside of the background die, although that kind of creates its own little problem because you have to kind of hold them down or they move all over the place, so it's a little bit tricky, but you know, it's relatively fast coloring, so it kind of works. If you want it to look even more finished though, what I would do is run your marker all along the edges of each one so that you get really, really good coverage. I did find that because it's a nice thick cardstock, if you just kind of color the top, sometimes you'll see a tiny bit of white. I don't think it's too big of a deal, but just something to consider that you could do to eliminate that if necessary. So again, having that adhesive in there is saving me a lot of time. And here's where I found that I, didn't color any of them perfectly when I was going a little quick. Also, I found it wasn't quite as dark as I wanted once I laid in some of the other colors. But what's great about Copic markers is if you layer the color again, you will get a darker color. So you can darken things up pretty easily, or they can color on top of each other easily as well. Once I had the rainbow finished, I was kind of just going through my Cat Scrappiness stamp sets and trying to decide which I thought would work well. And as you may have noticed from, past videos, I really like the Punny Snacks stamp set. I find it really versatile and I use it a lot. So I'm going to use it again today, but I'm not actually going to use any of the snacks from the stamp set. And I picked out the You're the Coolest sentiment, which I think it's kind of meant to go with like the ice cream and things like that because they are punny. And, but this time I thought, well, another thing that like in my mind when I'm looking at the stamp set, it goes with are there's a sunglasses face. So there's all these faces that you can add to the food if you want, but I decided to just use them separately today. And so I made sure to stamp a bunch of the sunglasses face because that's what kind of inspired me. But then I wanted to stamp some of the other faces to sort of fill it out. So I went with the winking faces because I thought that those also kind of played into the coolest part. But I also chose this face where like his mouth is sort of on a wide open smile just because I thought that one was funny. But there's quite a few to choose from in that stamp set. And for the most part, I am kind of trying to keep in mind the fact that if you stamp things in an odd number, it tends to look better. Like it doesn't look too blocky and things like that. So I don't know that I did it all the time here, but it is something I tried to kind of keep in mind, and I just tried to fill in the space until I felt like it looked full. But I also made sure to spread them out so like all the sunglasses faces were next to each other, for example. I wanted to show you one more card with the die set, although if you go over to the Cat Scrappiness blog, which I will link to, there is one more card inspiration. And with this one, I wanted to use this sunburst die from the stamp set, but I was kind of using it more like a flower. And I had some scraps of the Perfectly Plaid Lawn Fawn paper. So I was able to cut out these sunbursts, but some of them are actually partial cuts. You might not be able to tell, but the rays aren't complete on all of them. And that's okay because they're going to be hanging over the side and I'm going to be cutting those off anyway or covering them up in a different way. So when I first did this, I kind of thought I wanted the yellow one to be the focal point where the image would be, but it didn't turn out doing that. However, I did cut 3 of the plaid and 3 of the green and then 1 of the yellow, again, kind of thinking about that odds situation. And I also tried to create visual triangles. So if you look where the plaid papers are, they create a triangle. The greens, I'm going to try to do the same thing. I'm going to try to create a triangle with them. And I am also stamping the You're Too Sweet sentiment from the Cat Scrappiness Punny Snacks stamp set because, of course, it doesn't only need to be used with the snacks. And the stamp set that I'm using is, I believe it's called Easter Party from Lawn Fawn. It has a lot of Easter images in it, but I really wasn't looking to make an Easter card today, so I skipped the Easter sentiments in the stamp set, and that's why I went to the Punny Snack. So I had colored up a bunch of these images when I made some cards after a previous Cat Scrappiness haul back during Easter time when I made Easter cards with them. But since they were already colored up and the flowers and the sunburst flowers kind of went in my head, I wanted to use the flower girl. And I thought what was cool about that is it's an Easter set, but not an Easter card. And I think that that particular stamp set really works for that because even the little duck, you might think, well, what else are you going to use it for? I think of Halloween instantly with all of these. Like they're little dressed up kids. And so they could all work on a Halloween card if you paired up and made certain color choices, etc. They would just look like Halloween costumes. So the panel that I put all of this on was the Lawn Fawn watercolor pink paper, and I did cut it with the Cat Scrappiness cross-stitched rectangles. Then I turned it over and trimmed off all of that extra. And I was happy to make such a cute card with basically scraps and things that were already colored, so it made for a quick card even though it has a lot of interest and a lot of pattern on it. And as you can see, the yellow sort of became the focal point for the little girl, but because she was a bit big for it, I didn't want to cover it all the way, so I kind of put her off to the side. Then I felt like she needed a little bit of a layer behind her, and I thought rather than try to search for a pink paper that coordinated, I would just take the ink that I used to stamp the sentiment and create my own piece of layering paper. So I just took a piece of cardstock and ran my ink all along the edges, and there I have a perfectly coordinated piece of pink cardstock for behind it to make a mat, and then my card will be complete. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. As mentioned, this is for Cat Scrappiness. I am on their design team, so I'll have some affiliate links in the video description. It's a great way to support my channel. I will also have a coupon code down there that you can use to save at Cat Scrappiness. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I appreciate it and have an awesome day. Bye.